All right, all right, all right. It is the second Wednesday of the month, y'all, and we are back with another episode of Legacy Lounge, where we talk about all things around legacy and wealth building. And tonight we have our very first guest, but before we get to her, let me pass the mic over to our co-host, which is Miss Shamika Valencia.
Hey,
Hey, girl, hey.
hey.
And then y'all know we are missing one. And I'm sorry, I said co-host. I'm sorry. This is a panel, y'all. We are all hosting together. I do a couple podcasts, so I forgot my role. I just in my head, and I'm on.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
yeah, shouts out to Dee Dee. She is missing tonight, but she is still very much so part of this. So we'll see her back next month. But for now, we do have Miss Keisha Adams. We're gonna let her introduce herself and tell y'all who she is and what she does.
Hello, I am Keisha Adams Counsel, and I am a realtor with Keller Williams Realty Points East in Greenville, North Carolina.
Awesome. There's a lot of y'all over there. I see Keller Williams all over my timeline.
Listen, all the time. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. So tonight, y'all, we got a hot topic. We try to bring y'all hot topics, current topics at that. A lot of y'all purchasing houses or looking into purchasing a house. We're gonna talk about how to leverage that home. Some pros and cons about it. Just we're gonna wrap. Y'all got questions? Post them. We'll answer them to the best of our knowledge. If it's something we don't know, we ain't gonna guess. We just gonna be honest. We don't know. We'll tell you how to find the answer somewhere else. Go ask ChatGPT or something. I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna get started. Shamika, you shared this topic for this month, right? So go ahead and talk about it.
Listen, it's a lot of talk a lot of times about leveraging your property and your wealth and building generational wealth, but it's time to stop talking and just talk about the strategies and the steps behind how to actually do that. And it doesn't mean, from my perspective, it doesn't mean you have to have a house right now. If you don't have a house, or maybe you've got a property that somebody has left you, or maybe you just embarked on your first home, these conversations are good to have so that we can start teaching ourselves, our family, our community, and our children that we're trying to build this generational wealth for. It's time to teach each other how to actually leverage that, the home or any type of real estate that you have, as a means to do that. So I thought it was a good topic because I am a lover of all types of music. And one of my favorite artists happens to be Jay-Z. So him and his wife, they actually have leveraged one of their properties by taking out some of their equity in their home, and it sparked a lot of controversy. People saying, why would they go into debt? But we've been taught that debt is bad, and there's ways to leverage debt and make it work for you. And I think people were missing the game behind how they were potentially looking to leverage it. Obviously, I am not in their Rolodex, so I don't know exactly what they were doing, but I know the strategies that exist. And I thought it was worth having a conversation about it tonight.
Exactly. And that's exactly why we have an actual realtor, with us tonight, because she can, pretty much verify and explain and go over some of these strategies when it comes to purchasing a home. Because I'm sure you deal with, people in this situation when they're purchasing homes. I know I got some questions tonight. So, and I just start off with mine. Ain't nobody else asking that right now. Okay. I'm on the fence. I ain't gonna lie. I do not own a home. I don't know if I want to own a home for myself. I do know if I own a home, I want it to rent out. I don't want to wait to make money off the equity. I don't want to keep refinancing. So, Miss Keisha, Miss Counsel, let us know, what are the benefits to leveraging your mortgage? Well,
Okay,
what is
let's start with the first thing you said. You don't own a home,
mhm,
so you're renting. And
mhm.
more than likely, the house you're renting your landlord probably don't own it straight out either. He has a mortgage. And basically, in essence, you're paying his mortgage. So every time you make that rental payment, you're paying somebody else's mortgage, allowing them to get leverage.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you got money and you say you paying a mortgage for $1,500 a month, you're basically just throwing $1,500 out the window. You're riding down the car and you might as well just throw that money out the window because it's not yours. The house will never belong to you. And you really have no control over certain things because your landlord can put stipulations on you as far as what color paint you can put in your house, how many people can stay in there, and dictate things to you. Whereas if it's your house, you choose if you want to paint your walls black, then that's your choice because it's yours.
Right.
So those are some of the pros as far as, and then you are the one that's acquiring that wealth that you can leave to your children. Because the thing is to think about is when you get that home, first of all, don't buy a home that's you're gonna be home poor, where you're living, the house is above your means and you're paying more money out. Because you should be getting a house that you can afford, and you need to think about things that you like to do. If you know you like to travel, then you need to be budgeting your travel money in. If you know you like to go to a concert or a trail ride or wherever you like to go on a cruise,
All
you
right.
need to be thinking about that and adding that in to your budget.
Right.
And they may tell you you can afford a 16, $1,700 house payment, but if you know there's other things that you like to do in life and you just don't want to be living to pay your mortgage, then you need to say, no, I don't want all that money. And you need to find a house that's going to get you the payment that you can afford to do some of those extra things and enjoy life.
Right.
You want to live, and you don't want to live just to pay a mortgage.
I know
Right.
that's
And
right.
then you got to think about also, if you pay so much extra on your mortgage every month, then you're going to save thousands of dollars on the end, and you're going to pay off your mortgage a lot earlier than necessarily 30 years.
Right.
So you think about all of that when you're deciding. People go out and they say, oh, the bank said I can get a $500,000
Mhm.
house. But do you want that much of a house? And do you
Right.
want that payment? Because you're going to have a car. And like I said, you're going to want to travel. I like
Right.
to travel. So I need to think about how much money do I like to spend traveling. So I'm not going to go out and get that big, big mortgage payment because I want to do other things.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm listening, y'all. I'm trying to
And
turn
then
my
Right.
you got to
listen.
think about your kids. Do
You
you
that's
want to
right.
leave them something that they
Yeah.
can have a head start in life?
Yeah. Part of the strategy needs to be understanding the long term effects and
Right.
what impact that's going to have because everybody doesn't want what you're going to leave them, especially it may look like something beneficial up front, but if it's going to cause them more debt and if they are not going to be able to maintain it, you've wasted your time at this point. So, you know.
And are you leaving them? When you buy your home, are you getting the necessary insurance
Mhm.
to pay off that if you die? So
Yeah.
Right.
then you putting your kids in a better place than you may have been. Because
Right.
if you die and you left it so that that house is paid off, then there they are with a home that's paid out and a whole lot of equity that they know that they can tap into if needed to have them a head start in life.
Mhm.
They're not playing behind the game, because other people are setting their children up to be part of the game and not be playing catch up.
Right. Right.
And I think we operate in the spirit of fear,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and we don't think about, that generational effect
Yeah.
because we too busy throwing our kids out. You
Shit.
18, you need to get out on your own and try to make it. Most people not setting their kids up for that
Right.
in other cultures. They're
Right.
Very
trying to
true.
do something to give them a head start. Like I told my children, I said, You don't have to jump out and leave to prove anything to anybody. Get you some money in the bank, save you some money up. So when you do decide to leave out, you become the homeowner and buy
Mm-hmm.
your own house and paying your own mortgage and building up that equity so that maybe 2, 3 years down the line, you buying your second house.
Right.
Yes.
And
That's
some people are worried that, they'll do all that to leave the house to their kids, and then their kids don't want the house. Like, I know people, like, parent passed away, they left it to the kid, and that child didn't keep up with the house, and it just goes. Or, they pass away and the child don't know nothing about how to, handle it, because they left it with no instructions, without teaching them how to leverage the house. Like, for
And
me,
that's the key. What you just said, they didn't teach them. So
yeah,
we have to start teaching our kids early on about financial literacy. There's a
right,
lot of financial literacy programs out here. And as a culture, we not need to start engaging our children early on about that
exactly,
so they understand.
right.
And
I'm, I'm sorry. I don't want to be talking over people, and sometimes it's kind of late, and I'll start, and then I hear you talking. Um, But I know another thing, leaving when you do leave a house behind, you want to make sure. Well, I ain't gonna say that. Let me ask the question, because this is my opinion. When If somebody leaving a house behind for anybody, kids, or let's say your spouse died, whatever, and you are leveraging this mortgage, by I think you used the term HELOC, or just pulling from the equity, or refinancing. I know those are three different ways to get money off of your home, right?
you're pulling out the equity
Pull
from
out
your
the
house.
Is that the
Hmm.
same thing as HELOC?
It's a home equity line of credit. That's what
Okay,
HELOC stands for.
okay, all right. Just want to break everything down so everybody know what we're talking about. Okay, that does not have anything to do with refinancing.
Some people use it interchangeably. Refinancing, you can have a higher interest rate
Okay,
and you refinance to get a lower interest rate to lower your payment. So it just depends on who your lender is and who you're working with, the
okay.
terminology that's used sometimes.
Right, and this sounds very familiar or
Because you can have a
similar.
cash out refinance. So you're pulling some cash out.
And it
mm,
doesn't add on time to the mortgage, because that's my fear. Um, if somebody left me a house and I don't know, I don't know what they left me, right? And I think they left me a house, but I owe more than the house is even worth, because they done refinance the whole time.
mm,
Then what? How do you decipher the cons and pros behind doing all of this leverage to leave it behind to somebody else?
Well, that's the person. If they if they are leveraging and basically they bought, then they borrowing, then they die. That's a strategy.
Right.
And basically they need to be having a conversation with the person that they planning on leaving
Leave
the
it.
house to, first of all. And
mhm,
prayerfully they done made some arrangements so if they're truly leaving somebody something, that is taken care of.
Hmm.
And then you have to look at, is it worth it to you to
Right.
take on that response, to take on that mortgage? Because if
Right.
you don't have a house and that mortgage might be cheaper
Yeah.
than your rental payment, then does it make sense for you to move into something that's going to
mhm.
be yours eventually? Or do you just stay where you are and keep paying somebody else's mortgage?
Right. Because I'm 40 years old. And I'm
I
like,
mean, because think about it. You get this house and you don't have to go through all those expenses, putting down a down payment
right,
or going through all of that closing costs and all those other expenses that come along with purchasing a home,
right,
because they've pretty much set it up for you. You're going to have some expense
right.
from that, but
They made it easy. You didn't have to qualify, none of that. So it's
Exactly.
definitely benefits. I know I used to be afraid of the maintenance. I'm like, renting all my life. I'm like, okay, something break up, lamp, come fix this. I don't want to have to get a plumber on the payroll. I don't. They replaced my whole AC unit. I'm like, hey, I don't want to spend $10,000. I mean, that's my mindset. But it
And
goes back
that's
to mindset and fear. You know,
right. And you gotta think about that as a homeowner and have that savings account for those things that's gonna occur because things are gonna break down and there's gonna be maintenance and you have to have a nest egg on the side to cover that.
right? I don't
Right.
want to spend on that. I gotta get out of that though. But and it's like you said, it's about the pros and the cons, and everything ain't for everybody. But I know if I when I purchase a home, when I decide to purchase, it will be to probably rent out. I probably want to flip houses. I don't know if I want the responsibility of like owning and having to decide to stay somewhere that long.
Mm.
But that's my mindset. It's buying
Right.
a house. Well, it sounds like something so final. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
some people buy a house, stay in it 3 years, sell it, get another house, and that's just
Right.
what they do. I mean, just because you get in one don't mean you got to stay in it for the lifetime. You
And that's
gonna upgrade, you might downgrade. Things happen.
that's
People
true.
get married, you have children. People die, they get divorced.
Yeah.
So as life change, like things happen in life, you
So that
know,
you're
the
living.
size of the house you may need at that time changes.
That's where I'm at now. I'm like, I got a 4 bedroom because it's me and my 3 kids, but it's really just me and like one and a half. Because my 20-year-old, she's not here. She stays with she stays at my mom's house because she gets to work in town. I stay out in the country, and my 2 boys. So I'm like, I don't even need the big house no more. But I do want to have something to where if at any time my kids need to come home, I want them to be able to come home.
Hmm.
So I do got some decisions to make. I just gotta make it. It just ain't. It hasn't been a priority of mine. But getting back to using this money, and it's similar to for me for insurance because I look at insurance as a house, as a vehicle. People think it's for death. You can utilize it and leverage the same way you're saying we can utilize this mortgage, that we have. So, and what I tell my clients is when you do pull this money out of this house or this vehicle, you want to make sure you're using it, for something that's going to give you a better return. Else, you can end up owing more money on the house, or the interest could get higher on what you took out versus what you put it in, right?
You need to make sure you're using money smart and
Mhm.
that you're just not pulling out to waste it. Because I know y'all started out the topic about Beyonce and Jay-Z, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
mean
trying to
they're pulling
get back
out their money to use it smart. Because if you pull the money, you don't have to pay taxes on borrowed money.
to. Right, exactly.
So versus if you sell a house and you get some gains, then you're gonna have to pay taxes on those capital gains. So they're pulling their rich people pull that money out because it's borrowed money and they're not paying taxes on it. And
Right,
they can
Mhm.
take it and invest it, and probably the return on it, wherever they invested it in or on, is probably generating more money than those actual interest charges that they're being charged for taking that money out. So they're using somebody else's money to make more money and not their own.
right. And so that's what I was saying. So when you say use your money smart, like what's a specific example that you probably think? Because I'm thinking like like we said, Jay Z, Beyonce, they got money. What kind of things would they have to pull? 57 million dollars?
I don't
Mhm.
know. They might have paid for a Bay Cowboy Carter concert.
Right. Okay.
If
Let
they
me
didn't have to pay
like
nobody else.
it was
I
some
mean, it just depends on what they decide. I mean, they got a lot of things going on. Jay-Z got a champagne line, he got a clothing line, he got all of this stuff, and he's pulling that money out to invest in more projects.
that's going to bring
So,
more money. That's what I'm trying to get
right.
people to see. It's like you don't want to pull this money out and go just take a trip or something because you're not going to get any money back. That's wasting it. But when
I
Hmm.
mean, and that depends. I mean, if you pull it out because you want to take a trip,
I mean, you
but
can.
it's a waste for, is it a waste? But most of the time, the wealthy people are pulling it out to invest in something to make more money.
Hmm.
Right. And
That's the
that's
smart
the point.
aspect of it. They pulling out that equity to make more money.
Right, right. And that's what it's all about because we, in order to leave money, like, okay, we, and I say we as a community, because the majority do have a poverty mindset. And we tend to look at debt as debt. But wealthy people, like you said, they look at debt as leverage. Um,
Smart day.
Smart debt. That's what it is, smart debt. So when you're using smart debt, like she said, you're using money that you have that you can leverage with no penalties and no taxes and all of that, and you're using it for something that's going to, like, you're going to flip it. Let's just use, like, you're going to flip that money, okay? So you can put it in Bitcoin, whatever you want to put it in. But once you use it for something else that's not going to reap you something back, then the money is gone. And
And
this where it can become risky. So you want to make sure you're making smart decisions when you're going to pull from your equity, or you're going to refinance the house. Make sure it's a reason behind it. And
yeah,
you mentioned something earlier too about the interest rates. Those things can change, right?
yeah, interest rates change constantly. You know,
So
that's
is
something
there
that's out of our control. I don't quote interest rates because they can change daily. They do change daily. So I'm not going to say, what interest rate is. I'll refer them to a lender that once they decide next steps that they're going to take, or if they're going to pursue that purchase, then they need to talk to a lender so they can let them know what the current interest rate is.
right,
Hmm.
right. I agree. So
No, I think that you answered one of the questions I had earlier. Like that's a big misconception about borrowing money against your property. People often really think it's I'm in debt and I need to borrow that money to cover something because we've seen that a lot in our community. Like we'll borrow money against the house to pay for something else that we didn't properly steward or something to that effect.
mhm,
But to your point, create smart debt and make sure you're leveraging it for a really good reason. So I'll ask you, Keisha, have you
And,
seen people use like what ways or creative leverages options have you seen people use their house for?
I've seen people take out, you know, to purchase another home that they're going to use for rental income,
That's a good.
or to purchase a property that they plan on flipping to sell. So you're pulling out your equity for that reason. And some people, you know, they borrow to do a debt consolidation,
Mm,
because if you got credit cards and you got all these high interest rates, then sometimes people pull it out to do a debt consolidation so that they can hopefully save money in the end.
mhm,
But yeah, I've seen people pull out, their money to purchase a rental property, or pull it out to buy a property that they're going to fix up and flip and sell, and then take that, once they flip it, they go ahead and pay that back off that they took out. So, and that's them using it smartly
yeah,
versus just taking it out just because it's there and then don't use it wisely.
yeah, yeah. I know that makes sense. You were saying something, Sandra?
I don't remember. I'm still see. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out why it's not showing public.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's happening with the
But
live. I know some people can see my IG,
And you
um,
just keep repeating the process. You
but
buy, build equity, reinvest it, repeat. And then before you know it, you might be a little baby Jay Z.
dang,
I'm
taking pictures
okay
of
with
the live
it.
out the
I'm
house.
okay with it. From the making money, leveraging the property perspective, I'm 100% okay with that. I think for me, when I get to that level, which I'm there, I'm just scared to make certain moves. It's finding the low risk ways to leverage that equity and make sure it's working properly for me and not, we can do we can have tons and tons of plans, but unfortunately, no, none of us know the day nor the hour that we'll be gone. So I want to do as much as I can when I make that decision to make sure those who I truly care about know what decision I made, why I made it, and where to pick up the ball when I left off. If nothing else, you need to know, hey, I'm gonna need you to call Keisha before you don't go selling this house. Call Keisha first. Something like that. Call the call my tax pro, call Dee Dee, call the people that I know will help make sure you don't improperly steward what should have been a benefit to you.
Right. Because I mean, when anything, an investment is basically a gamble,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? It's a gamble and you're taking a risk because you can say, "Oh, I'm going to get this house and I'm going to rent it out." And what if you get a tenant that don't pay you no rent?
Listen, been there, done that, baby. It ain't fun. It's not fun.
Then you got to think about I still got to cover that mortgage payment even though that tenant is not paying me that rent.
That's
Mm-hmm,
right. That's right.
So, and and like I said earlier, you are you willing to take that risk? And
yeah, and that's been,
like I told y'all earlier, my mom used to say, "Scared money don't make no money."
I know that's right. So don't. I just I like to play with my fears in a different way.
right. Different type of fear factor. I hate we don't have our tax pro on tonight. I hate Dee Dee's not here, but you touched on it briefly earlier about how like people can leverage their property to reduce their taxable income because they're not paying taxes on that borrowed money.
Okay, what I
So,
said was
well, yeah, clarify for me.
when they pull money, when they borrow
Borrow
money,
money, right?
the wealthy, when they borrow that money, you're not paying taxes on borrowed
On
money
borrow money, right?
because it's borrowed, it's not income.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You pay
That's
taxes on income.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
that money is borrowed and you're not paying taxes on it versus and that's what the wealthy do. Versus selling the asset and they get a gain from selling, they got to pay tax on that gain.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you borrow money, then you're not paying taxes.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So like I think my
And I'm
brain is
not a tax
moving.
expert. I'm
Yes,
not a
Right.
tax
ma'am. Yes,
person.
ma'am. Keisha said, time out, flag on the play.
I'm a
Soon
real
as you
estate
said
agent.
it, you said,
I
wait.
sell. I can be your listing agent. I can be your buyer's agent. You need some property. That's what I can help you with. But taxes,
Absolutely.
that's I'm not your tax person.
That's why I said I need
I'm
her here
staying in my lane. I'm staying in
Right.
my lane.
because
God,
I definitely know there are some ways to reduce your taxable income with your property, but I'm also not your tax pro, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But we can circle back around on the next episode if we need to when Dee Dee is available to make sure we got you covered. But I appreciate you mentioning that piece of it because I think again a lot of misconceptions about it when people just don't understand what's possible, and a lot of times in our community it's the proximity. If
Mhm.
I'm in proximity of somebody who knows something, I don't have to know everything. I need to know somebody who knows something so that I can let me understand what's possible and not feel like I gotta be on Jay-Z and Beyonce level to do it. How do I get myself prepared to do that? And how do I leverage it as a small business owner? Because, in some of the ways you said people are leveraging their property, I could see somebody taking that, being a landlord, that's another business. But if being a landlord is not your thing, but you still want to borrow equity and flip that for a small business, I could see people potentially doing that. Have you ever seen those scenarios?
Say that again. I missed it.
People using that same concept, pulling that home equity line of credit out and being able to use it for like a small business venture. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if there's any requirements
Yeah.
that would say you can only use this money for XYZ.
That's your equity. You use it how you
Exactly.
choose to use it. And if you want to start a business, I mean that's what you can do it for. But what I would say is anybody, you need to make sure that you pair yourself, start your team. You need a team.
right.
Uh, and you need your team to be equipped to answer those questions. I mean, you're not going to go to a dermatologist if your stomach hurting. So,
That
Right.
part.
right? So you need to make sure the correct people are on your team. You got to have you a loan officer, you got to have you a financial planner, you got to have you a realtor, tax professional.
Mhm.
When you decide that's what you're going to do and you're going to step out and start taking those risks
Hmm.
and become that investor or whatever business owner, you need to ensure that you're surrounding yourself with a team that can help support you, because
Right.
everybody is going to have expertise or knowledge in certain areas and you don't have to know everything.
Right. That's something that Dee Dee talks about too. We all, you and her about having that team. And
Hmm.
I think she even was talking about how, the family members or get your circle.
Hmm.
Hey, you're good at this, you're good at that. You need to be this, you need to be that. That way we can support one another
Right,
and we can be a team. And we don't have to go
right.
outside of our community, because we spend more money outside of our community. That's another topic we're gonna talk about too. And they're gonna talk about it tonight. But yeah, we need to get your team together. And the people she
Hmm.
listed on your team, that's definitely who you need on your team. Because they all work together. It's not a competition thing. I do insurance. Shamika's a leadership and business mentor amongst other titles. She's so humble, bless her heart. And we have Keisha, she's a realtor broker amongst other things as well. But we all can come together to work together to communicate communicate and educate to the community together. So, although some things we may not have been able to dig into specifically because we want to stay in our lanes, we have shared nuggets for you to go and do your own research.
Right.
If you have a tax person, if you own a house, if you think about owning a home, we talked about leveraging some tax benefits on your property. No, we can't tell you ABC, but go ask your tax person. You know what I'm saying? Go follow up on the information that we're giving you. Share it with somebody. Ask somebody.
And what
Um,
I'm going to say,
Go ahead.
sorry,
No.
we talk about financial wealth all the time,
Hmm.
but, and I'll just say this, as a homeowner, what are you instilling in your children and what are they learning and seeing as they grow up? Because,
Hmm.
first of all, it's stability for them.
Hmm.
And when a child has stability, they're more successful
Right.
in things educationally, emotionally. So home ownership can be that venue as well for them because and then people tend to, not all people, take pride
Hmm.
in having their own,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you got to think about those type of, it's not just about financial wealth,
Yeah.
Right.
because
Yeah.
mental health is wealth.
Yes, it is.
Listen, and most people are spazzing out and crashing out because of money, but it's the that stability that this type of strategy gives a person can go a long way. I
Right.
love that point.
Yes. That
I
was so
love it.
good.
Yeah, you gave us some good talking points. So if anybody doesn't know, I'm a note taker. So you need to, first thing I caught was let's talk with the person that you want to leave something to. If you're thinking about leaving something to somebody, have that conversation. And if you're getting yourself in position to have something to leave, talk to those people that you plan on leaving something with, because both of you need to, number two, understand the pros and the cons of what's being left to you, which goes straight into those ongoing expenses. Like, you've got to be able to handle that. That's, we talked about it on one of our first few episodes. Like, and as a part of that, I started having these family meetings that set up. Do we get to have them all the time like we're supposed to? No. But the conversation has been open where we sat down and said, here's all the policies that we have, here's how much each one of them costs, here's the outstanding expenses, and here's the current or pending goals that we have and what we estimate them to cost. Do we
Right.
have enough insurance if something unfortunately happens to one of us? Because last I checked, none of us are making it out of here alive. Do we have enough resources to to cover if something happens to somebody? um I also heard using your money smart. Like, Don't just take the strategy and just pull it out. And next thing you know, you got a Lamborghini and you're back to being your house poor, car poor, all that kind of stuff. Be smart with what you do with that equity in the house, but get your team behind you, because just because you can doesn't mean now's the time to do it. But
Right.
you don't know that if you don't talk to your realtor, you don't talk to your loan officer, your financial planner, your tax professional. They may have some insights that would help you say, this is not the best time to do it, even though nobody has that crystal ball to tell you. But they can definitely say, looking at your entire financial portfolio and your goals, this is not the time to do it. Or if you're going to do it now, put these particular things in place to help you cover that blow. Like, go ahead and, just like in project planning, we have to prepare for potential blows that would come that would impact our project deadline. So same
Mhm.
concept.
Right.
And not being a lender, but there are loans out here for investors.
Oh,
If
that's
you're
good.
looking, and there are loans out here for investors, and your realtor can point you in the direction
Yeah.
when you're looking for lenders that do support investment properties. So, and I would just add one other little thing. We need to ensure that we are leaving wills,
Yes.
because people are dying, and then, they don't have plans for those properties, and then
Mhm.
they become heir property, and that's a whole nother
Yes. Hold up.
situation. Because
I tell people probate is
Been
no
there, done that too. Not fun at all. Not
Papa may have been a Rolling Stone and laid his
all the
hat
kids
at
want their
somebody
stuff.
else's home,
and they looking for a piece.
and they do a piece.
Oh, they are. They are. I,
And
look,
you
I
got to get
tell
all those signatures before you can sell anything. So that's a whole nother
yeah,
topic.
Yeah,
So you just need to make sure you making got a will in
yeah,
place. So
yeah,
when you pass on, the people that's left behind
that's right.
not stuck, because
yeah,
that then that house goes down because nobody's taking care of it, and then the family ends up losing that generational wealth because people feelings get hurt, and they can't agree,
Yeah.
and they're
They make
gonna they're
emotional
gonna
decisions,
agree to disagree about every little thing.
everything.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
you touched it, Sandra, on the emotional piece of it. You can't make decisions out of emotions,
No.
unfortunately. So
Just
yeah.
like
Um,
it.
shameless plug to my my estate planning attorney, Shanisha, a young black attorney who can help you with real
Yeah,
estate, with your estate planning, your wills, get them together. Listen,
I know
she'll
that's
help
right.
you out.
put
Yeah,
her information in the chat so we can have her contact
Yeah.
information.
We
sure.
gonna tag it on the video once we get it posted.
Okay.
Yeah, once we get closer, I absolutely will stick her information in there. But and same for you. Like, I know you work with some of these people on a regular basis. Of course, we mentioned from a tax perspective. I know tons of tax professionals, but I'm always, of course, going to shout out Dee Dee as our co-panelist here.
Yes.
Um, you as our realtor, we appreciate you as a guest today and all the information you provided. But tag those other people that you're familiar with. Like, I know one of my best friends, she also has a program she works with. Her as a person that helps people fix their credit. She also works with a mortgage broker and like an insurance person, and they hold these seminars in Wilson a lot of times where they talk through the entire process and help
Right.
people understand how they connect with one another. And I'm not saying you have to have these people as part of your team, but these are people I recommend. I'll
Mhm.
tag them as well. But the
And
point is, get a team. And I don't want anybody to leave this live or finish watching this recording and not have somebody they can reach out to.
Right. Right.
and if you don't have a team, I have a team, and I do home buyer education seminars. I go to churches, I go out in the community, and I
Okay.
bring my team with me. I'll bring lenders, inspectors,
Yeah.
appraisers, just to educate people on that process, because you are making one of the biggest ex- purchases that you'll make in your lifetime, and you want to make sure you got people that's going to not only educate you but help protect you as well in that process.
That's right.
That's perfect. That's
That's
exactly right.
But it's, I learned a lot. I always learn a lot. This my, I was at the seminar you had at the church, so she ain't lying. She brings her team, y'all. I gotta get you need to get your team, for my round table. I ain't talking about all of it and get you need everybody.
Yeah, because
But
I got, yeah, because I had somebody came and spoke to us today, and they was telling us about the different um, programs they have for first responders and all this down payment assistance they can get,
right,
and people that work at the hospital. You don't have to necessarily be a
Mm,
nurse or a doctor, but if you actually work at the hospital, you could possibly qualify for that first responder down payment assistance. And that includes janitors, custodians, people in,
that's awesome.
yeah.
it's
So,
perfect. I know you touched on financial literacy and the need for financial literacy. I know there's one place that I'm going to start poking around. I'm not saying this is the place to go or anything like that, but one place that I'm going to start poking around in, because I do know they offer some financial literacy tools and resources, is the American Consumer Council. So I think that's another place I'll probably tag too, so people can learn a little bit more. Anywhere that you can get free tools and from a reputable source, I'm always going to promote those as well. So,
yeah. And I'll give you one I know my daughter volunteers for, and they teach children financial literacy.
perfect.
So
That's
I'll give you
Awesome.
that information.
I want that because
Mhm.
I mean, I can teach it to adults, but my patients ain't like that. And it's hard getting it through to adults sometimes. So definitely got the patience to break it down for the kids. And I've been trying to use Chat GPT to come up with a program. So I need that information. So make sure after you see this live, I'm gonna get it public. Once I get off of here, um, tag all of that in the group because you're in the group too, the Legacy Lounge group. We're gonna tag it there, we're gonna tag it everywhere, and tell everybody how they can follow you if they're not already connected to you, Keisha.
Keisha Adams Council, K Adams Council at kw.com.
All right. And so it's just Keisha Adams Council on Facebook. It's like your name right here.
Yes,
Okay.
It's Keisha Adams on Facebook.
Okay. Keisha Adams on Facebook. That's why I left off the council. I didn't it wasn't intentional. I thought it was part of your title for a minute 'cause I just saw council. But anyway, y'all
I
try to
got
get
married
in.
and I couldn't let my Adams go.
I know that's right.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I'm trying to give a man my last name. But no, this was good, y'all. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you for getting on, Keisha. And this don't have to be the last time you're here. This is a topic that definitely needs to be
Yeah.
revisited. Come back with your team and we can talk about some more topics. And I'll make sure that I have it set up right next time. And I'll send you a copy of this as well so you can have.
Okay,
All right.
thanks for having me. I
Thank
enjoyed you
you.
guys.
And we'll
Yes,
be back
ma'am.
next month, y'all, with another hot topic. If y'all have topics y'all want to hear, send it to us. We're all on Facebook. Me, Shamika, and Dee Bute. If you are a business owner in North Carolina and you just need that circle, or if you're not a business owner and you're looking to start a business, connect with us. We want to help and support others, not just people that look like us, but we're here to help you. So utilize us. We'll see
Absolutely.
y'all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, darling.
Bye.